Hi, welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm Tina Howard. Today I have a fun guest with me. I have Mr. Theo Derleth with me today.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Theo. Thank you for coming on today.
It's my pleasure, believe me.
So here's how I met Theo. Your lovely wife, Janine, is somebody that I met shortly after you all moved here last year. And I actually had her on the program early on. And then I met you when you came to pick her up. And of course, every time I talk with her, she talks about what the two of you are doing together. So I'm really glad that you made time to come on today.
Well, thanks very much.
So I don't even know where to start. I normally ask people about their beginnings. So I'm just going to ask you about your beginnings. What were you like as a kid?
I grew up in upstate New York. We had a bit of a dairy farm for quite a while. So I got to experience a lot what you do here locally, and played all the sports and stuff growing up. Graduated a little early from high school, went to an occupational school for broadcasting, and then went to college and graduated a little early from that as well, and had the opportunity to start my career as a newscaster.
Fantastic. You do have the look and the voice for that.
Well, in the 70s, we used a falsetto. Good evening, this is Theo Derleth with the news.
That's good.
Yeah, a little like Ted from Mary Tyler Moore.
Right, oh yeah, oh gosh, how I loved him. That's so funny. So it sounds like you were pretty driven. You graduated a little early from both high school and college, and you kind of knew. How did you know what you wanted to do?
Well, actually, I originally thought I was going to be an attorney. I was going to go into politics, but I had started at Kodak doing Toastmasters and found I really liked speaking.
Okay.
And then throughout high school and junior high school and college, I had a bit of an attitude. So they said I really had an opinion. So I started doing editorials. And I found I liked my opinion, so I expressed it often, and that was how I got started in the newscasting.
Were you an only child, or did you have other siblings?
No, I'm the oldest of four.
Oldest of four. Okay, so maybe that comes from being the oldest and being responsible and getting to tell the others what to do.
I really liked money too, so as a young kid, I had a paper route. I started with like 45 people on my paper route. I was getting up at 4 o'clock because I was used to doing it with the cows and everything, and I wound up stealing all the other kids' routes. So I wound up with 200 people on my route after a short period of time. And
wow.
then I was babysitting and stuff too.
Yeah.
And then I started a landscaping company when I was 12, and I had a bunch of older kids working for me. We lived in a pretty well-to-do area. Not that my father was. It just, he wound up buying a really nice house on the lake that was part of the Odenbach estate.
Okay.
The Odenbachs built the PT boats during World War II.
Oh, wow. Fascinating.
So we were in a great area, the Kellogg's, Kaiser Aluminum, which is Reynolds Wrap. Those are our neighbors on the lake, in Lake Ontario.
Great.
So we had a really good affluent area to build a business.
Yes.
So that was kind of how we got started. So I'd always been driven. I liked the money. I liked having the independence. My parents said I could have whatever I wanted as long as I paid for it.
Yeah, that was a familiar refrain in the 60s and 70s. So
yeah,
it definitely made us want to work hard. So were you hard to handle as a kid, or were you super responsible?
Very, very responsible.
Okay. Never worried about you, your folks?
No, my parents, I would take off when I was 10, 11 years old on a bike. They know that I'd be gone for the day, but I'd be back. And then I was working pretty much full time when I was 15 on.
Wow.
So, and when I was 16, I was working for the Holiday Inn as the department head for the audiovisual department. It was the third largest Holiday Inn in the world. They had 200,000 square feet of commercial space for conventions and stuff. So I was responsible for all the video for all those areas. So I started early, and we were fortunate. The sheriff had dinner with us every Sunday. And
the sheriff? Because most people in the South have the preacher over. You had the sheriff over.
We had the sheriff. And he was the head of the Republican Party.
Okay.
He was 86 years old. His name was Sheriff Skinner. Monroe County in Rochester is one of the largest counties in the country.
Okay.
And he was over every Sunday. So he said, you're working, I can get you your license. So I got a license a little early too. And
you did?
Oh yeah, I
Wow.
was so lucky.
So what were you, 15, 14?
15.
So, wow, the chicks must have been digging that because you could drive.
Well, the other thing is I was going to college not much later than that. So my girlfriends were usually a little bit older, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. Perception's
Funny.
reality. If you're going to school, you must be that age.
Right, you must be 18 if you're in college, right?
It was fortunate for me.
Oh, that's awesome. You were like a Doogie Howser in college. You were really younger, but nobody knew it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So in college, you kind of knew because of you've been in your audiovisual and you wanted to do broadcast and you set about to do that. When you got out of college, did you?
Well, what happened is the occupational school I went to prepared me, and a lot of the college that I would normally have had to take, I did not have to take. I took tests.
Okay, so it was kind of a self-paced kind of.
And it was the same thing for high school. Early on, was not getting the best grades in school, so they put me on a packet system and found out that that's what I needed.
Yeah.
So I graduated early. They said, why is the IQ so high and the grades
and
not?
the performance is low because you were bored.
To tears.
Yeah.
To tears. Plus I was argumentative. You know, I questioned everything. So that was part of the thing in school, which was great for an interviewer.
Yeah, but the teachers probably were like, Theo, just be cool and let me finish
They did not appreciate me.
Cannot imagine.
They did not. Although my broadcast teacher, Rick Gage, was instrumental in guiding me and opening me up to be more understanding of what I was looking for. And he was awesome.
Were you always asking why?
Yes.
Why do we do it this way?
I'd ask why, and if I could get an answer, I was fine.
Yeah, you just had to know why.
Yeah.
I don't think that's so bad.
No, I don't think so either. My parents encouraged that growing up, you know, to be independent thinker, self-starter.
Yeah.
You know, my dad was used to teach for Dale Carnegie. So
wow.
there was a big thing. He was really good at public speaking.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a little bit tougher, you know, with all the racket going on and stuff. But he taught for Dale Carnegie, and him and my mom were both really be anything you want to be, do whatever you want to do, just be the best at it.
Yeah, work hard at it until you get really good at it. Well, that's good. I bet your dinner table conversation was interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No nonsense, huh?
No, but our neighborhood where we grew up in upstate New York outside of Rochester is very, very much like the political views of Hartwell, Georgia. So this is very similar to our upbringing. You know, you're responsible for yourself. You do what you're supposed to do. You know, so there's no excuses if you don't get something done. It's your own fault.
It's true.
So, but the community always came together. You know, there really was barn raising. So we grew up in a great area, and when we moved here, that's what we were looking for, is kind of to duplicate where we grew up. And we really feel like we've done that.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good. In between, though, when you finished college there, you finished school and you started your career, you went all over the place. There was no straight line from there to here.
One of the things growing in upstate New York and Rochester, we were right on Lake Ontario.
Okay.
We had triple pane windows, and the wind would blow through and it'd be freezing. I used to go to bed with one of the sock hats on and full clothes because it was freezing.
Wow.
And I said, man, when I can, I'm out of here. So when I was 18, I took a job in Phoenix, Arizona, and went to work for a TV station there.
Wow, that was a
anchorman.
change in every way conceivable.
It really was. And it was a little bit awkward because I went into a place and they said, well, here's that snot nose from New York City. And I'm like, they're all wearing jeans and white short sleeve shirts with bullet ties and their feet up on the desk. And I was like, oh my God, deliverance. So
and that was in Phoenix.
It was in Phoenix.
But they typecast you because of where you were from.
Yeah, not upstate New York, New York City. I wasn't from New York City.
Right.
I'd been to New York City once, you know, when I was a kid, and that was it.
That's funny because people think New York is New York City, and it isn't.
No, it's the dairy state.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the dairy state.
Interesting. So did you have to prove yourself in Phoenix?
Yes, and in a very short time, the station came up really highly in the ratings. I wrote my own editorials, but as soon as it did, then they started taking away work from me because, we're #1 in the marketplace now, so I'm not able to do the writing and stuff. They got consultants. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And the other thing is, in New York at 18, I was old enough at the time to go to nightclubs and bars and stuff. And in Phoenix, I wasn't.
Interesting.
And I still had to pay off college. So I started looking for other work to do because they rolled up the sidewalks in the 1970s in the Phoenix, Arizona. Your big newscasts at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it. So I had lots of extra time.
Yeah.
So I answered an ad for a dance studio to do some video work.
So you did not at that point in your life have a lot of experience in dance?
I had none.
And you're 20, early 20s?
No, I'm 18.
Oh, you're 18. Wow. Boy, you were young.
Yeah, I'm just getting ready to turn 19. Yeah. I answered an ad to do some video work. They were trying to put dancing in the Olympics.
Now, tell the truth. I know that you went because of the audiovisual, but were you thinking pretty girls? Were you thinking this could be kind of glamorous and fun?
Phoenix? No, I just wanted to get out of the cold.
Oh.
I figured I'd get into a
No, but I mean
Sunbelt.
when you answered the ad.
For the dance studio?
Yeah.
No, I thought I was going to just do some video work, but they couldn't afford to pay me what I wanted, so they gave me dance lessons and trade.
What?
So I moved September.
Wait, now did you think that was a good thing or not a good thing?
I figured, what the heck, I'm not doing anything else, I'll do something.
Right.
So I moved there in September, and my first weekend off from the station was in Thanksgiving. And I'd been taking some lessons, I've been doing some video work for them, and we went to a dance competition in California called the California Star Ball over Thanksgiving weekend. And it was like a football game, only everybody all dressed up. People are yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs. They're like beasts out on the floor. It was phenomenal. There's all these gorgeous women. And at the time, the male teachers were a little bit more feminine.
Okay.
If I can leave it at that.
Fair.
And there was all these women.
You're thinking, wow.
And I'm like, this is heaven.
I'm home.
So when we went back, I said, I got to do this. The owner of the studio was a straight guy. He lived in Phoenix. His dance partner lived in Denver. So he needed someone to rehearse with at night. The lady teachers, they either had family or boyfriends or whatever and didn't want to stay late. So I stayed late and danced with them for a whole year. So I had private instruction from somebody at a very high level. A year later, I was competing.
Wow. Wasn't that kind of a fast track?
Way, way, way fast.
Because wouldn't most people start young and work their way up over the years?
That's a fallacy for the dance business in general. Most people that start in the ballroom and Latin dancing back in that times, a lot of them were GIs coming in on the GI Bill. Arthur Maurice and Fred Astaire both worked with the government doing training programs
I didn't know that.
for the GI Bill. So a lot of people from the military started coming into it, and it was a resource for people that didn't really know exactly what they wanted to do something with their life that was fun. And these schools would offer these training programs to introduce people to teach. And it wasn't unusual to have 100 people in a training class and only 1 or 2 get picked after the training programs to be over. Okay. So I maintained the working in the broadcast industry. And about a year and a half, almost 2 years later from Phoenix, I moved to Albuquerque. I had an opportunity to build one of the first UHF stations for Spanish International Network.
Interesting. Because people today watching would not remember, but if you're the age that we are, you know what a UHF station was. It was the predecessor to a cable network.
Right.
It was not one of the, what would you call, primary networks, but it became...
Ultra high frequency, when they had the second dial where it went from 0 to 35 or 50, you could dial it in.
Right.
And then they had the little round antenna in the back. As a matter of fact, I made the deal with Radio Shack to give those away to get people to start using UHF.
Oh,
and
wow.
in Albuquerque, I worked for Spanish International Network, who was putting that station in. And originally, they were going to start as an all-Spanish station with Nuevas and stuff like that. And I coerced them to do bilingual.
Oh yeah.
So we carried the Davis Duke, the baseball. We did indoor soccer league. We did wrestling and boxing, and then we had some. I did an English-speaking newscast, and then I had a talk show called Potentiality. So
awesome.
We did a little bit different, and it was very similar to this size.
Yeah.
The difference was our engineer in the control room. All of the cameras were on remote. So it was joysticks, and this is the 70s.
Wow, that's pretty advanced for the 70s.
It really was.
That's crazy.
They were pretty progressive.
Yeah.
And I ran that TV station. We didn't have any commercials, so to speak, at first.
Uh-huh.
So we went ahead and bought all the Ginzu knives and all this stuff and sold our own advertising to ourselves till it was like sold out. And then I went to...
That's smart though. That's a lot of people have to do that. You have to think outside of the box if you're trying to grow a business like that.
Well, it was ridiculous at the time because 80% of the population for Albuquerque at that time was Hispanic. What station are they going to watch?
That one.
Of course. 80% Hispanic. If you're trying to reach this market, where else are you going to go?
Right. It's the best place to go.
And
what a good experience, though. Kind of a well-rounded...
It was twofold. The United States American-style champions had moved to Phoenix.
Okay.
I mean, to Albuquerque, and they had been training me in Albuquerque.
Okay.
And they got me a job at Tiffany Dance Club in Albuquerque. And the owner of the school was the former junior champion from England for standard and Latin, and was in the top 3 in the United States. So I went because I was going to get dance training.
Sure. Yeah, at that point, because you were already in love with it. So.
And I was competing.
Yeah. So you were running the station by day, competing on the weekends?
I was teaching every night.
Oh my gosh.
We went early in the day because everything was recorded when we did the newscasts and all that stuff. It's all recorded. Mm-hmm. So it was not it's a podunk town, Albuquerque, in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It was podunk. The most exciting thing to do was watch grass grow. The state fair ran the city. Mm-hmm. It was an unusual city at the time.
Well, what a great experience for a young person. You're starting in audiovisual, and then you're also doing broadcast, and you're also doing a talk show, and you're also selling advertising, creating demand for advertising by buying it yourself and selling out and then showing that. So that's a completely well-rounded experience. And then you're teaching at night and dancing and competitions. Now, at what point did you shift away from your camera work and your broadcast into dance? Was it about that time?
It was about that time.
Okay.
I still was doing I was still doing commercials. I had a couple of good-sized clients to do commercials for production. And then I was doing some stuff in LA for American Bandstand was going on and dancing, so it was kind of...
You were on American Bandstand?
Yeah.
Okay, we can stop now because that is cool. So you were on American Bandstand.
Yeah, there's some old pictures of us doing they would film like 3 shows at a time.
Okay.
And that was a long time ago.
So did you have to audition for that? Or did
No, actually there was a girl there that they was already on and she got me on.
Yeah, because she knew you and she knew how you could dance.
Yeah.
So, and you went, was that fun? Did
It was
you get
great
paid
fun.
to do it, or was it just something
it was
you
good
did?
money. It was like $400 an episode. You did 3.
Paid to be on American Bandstand?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you get paid to do that kind of stuff. It's fun.
Wow. Were you ever on Soul Train?
No.
Soul
Train.
I just wondered because that was kind of concurrent with American Bandstand. They came on one right after the other on Saturday morning when I was a kid. So American Bandstand was part of your activities at that point. That
Yeah, it was
fun.
just a little thing because we were doing competitions and going to the things. And the American Bandstand would have you come out and do a few different episodes at once. And there's a whole group of us that were pretty much the same age that did that. And then I did that for a few years, and then I wound up selling, I had opened up 6 dance studios. I sold them.
How old were you at this point?
I'm in my 20s. I'm in my 20s. And then I said, I really want to dance. So I moved to Los Angeles to work for Earl Manning Dance Studios, and I ran the Beverly Hills Earl Manning's. And he didn't pay me 1 week after I did a lot of business. So I left and wound up opening my own school called A Chance to Dance. And then I was doing production work for Playboy, like the Romance Games, Shake It Sexy, some other production work. So I started getting more into the production and stuff again too, and then dancing a lot. And I did that for a few years. And
living
in Los Angeles, live in Beverly Hills, 240 South Doheny in Beverly Hills.
How do you remember that? That's just
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Well, because it was a penthouse. It's only 4 stories.
But it was still a penthouse.
It was just a little apartment in Beverly Hills. And at the time, here's what's funny. Janine and I both grew up in Rochester. Her brother went to the same occupational school as I did. As a matter of fact, I taught some of those classes that he was in.
Okay.
She was a block away. She lived on Robertson. I lived on Doheny. So we were there at the same time.
Wow.
And then
Still don't know each other.
still don't know each other. And we went to the same clubs because I was dancing at Le Chic, Chez Moi, Max 151, Jockey Club. So I'm in all those clubs all the time because they would pay the better dancers to come and dance at night. So we're shills.
Cool.
Yeah, it was great fun. And after a few years, I got tired of the LA stuff. So I moved to Las Vegas and opened up Dance Institute, which was a 10,000 square foot dance studio in Las Vegas. And it was first class, gorgeous, right in the center of town. And we had 25 full-time teachers. It was a big studio.
That is a big. Now, are you training the dancers that end up performing there in Las Vegas and the revues?
No, not that many.
Las Vegas? Why Las Vegas for your...
I had a friend who had lived in Mesa, Arizona, who had a dance studio in Mesa, Arizona, that I really respected.
Okay.
He was great.
He did it correctly.
And
you liked the way.
He made a lot of money.
Okay.
He was first class with what he did.
Okay.
And he had moved from Mesa to Las Vegas, and he had been managing the school, and he had me going there coaching staff. And he says, let's open up a studio in Las Vegas. And I said, you've got so much to compete against with all the hotels and the casinos. And he goes, yeah, but there's 3 shifts of people. There's a lot of disposable income because people have a lot of tips and things, and they're not showing all of it. There's a lot of money here.
Okay.
So I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it the right way. So we did. We opened up an incredible studio. I guess I should tell you the side story.
Yes.
Before we opened up, where we're trying to do our build out, there was Liberace's museum is in Las Vegas. And he had a rehearsal ballroom, which was quite nice, but it wasn't open to everybody. So the gentleman that is a good friend of mine, his name is John Kraft, who is my business partner, and he now owns Keepers of the Wild in Arizona, which is one of the largest animal parks in the world. He's got all of Barnum's animals, 38 big cats. It's a huge compound.
Big rescue facility?
Huge. Phenomenal. So John and I go in, and Fred Faber was Liberace's manager for the property. And John wore canary yellow pants. I wore pink pants when we went in to make our deal. I don't think I have to say. This is doing whatever you have to do to get it.
That's right.
So we were able to use that facility for a while as we opened up our other place.
Okay.
So ironically, right next to our studio was a place called DiMartino's Restaurant, which is one of the nicest Italian restaurants in Las Vegas. And Janine used to frequent with her parents every time she would come into town after being on tour. All the time, and her and her dad used to dance in front of our windows. We had beautiful shears across our windows so you could see in. There's twinkle lights, and there's tables and chairs with glass tops. We had a full bar. Everything was gorgeous. So this is when I met Janine. I'm competing full time. I'm not interested in getting married. I have lots of female friends.
Your life is full.
It was the 80s. It was wonderful. And we went to one of the clubs we frequented was called State Street.
Okay.
State Street was owned by Gianni Russo, who, if you remember from The Godfather, he's the one who got rolled down in the garbage can in The Godfather. He's been in a lot of movies, and he was Dionne Warwick's manager as well. So he had a private club called State Street, and we had a club called the Rolls-Royce Club. Somebody that they purchased a lot of lessons every year, so we took really good care of them. Once a month, we took them out with the staff to go out and use their dancing, and we usually went to State Street. So I was going in with a couple of young lady friends, and the bouncer and maitre d' was about 6'4", blonde, really good-looking guy. His name is Chad. Said, "Oh, Theo, my girlfriend is here. Would you please have a dance with her?" I said, "Sure, Chad." My female friends were used to this. And there's this beautiful brunette sitting at the bar, drinking a glass of champagne with a slit silk dress on. I'm like, "Whoa, baby, I'm definitely gonna have a dance with her." And
you weren't the least bit afraid of the 6'4" boyfriend?
Oh no, because I was just having a dance.
Oh, just a dance.
He asked me to have a dance.
Yeah, that's true.
So during the dance, it was Julio Iglesias' song was a bolero.
Oh.
And a bolero is a very sensual dance.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the dance, Janine said, "Talk about falling in love on the first dance."
What did you think?
I thought, I understand, because then we find out we're from the same place.
I know. Who'd have thought?
We're from
That's
Rochester.
crazy.
We find out that I know her brother. It's like, it was unbelievable. So I would never have asked her out. She had just finished doing 42nd Street, and I said, "Would you like a job? You know, I've got openings at the studio. Would you like to come over?" And she said, "Sure." And I offered her like $4.50 an hour. Meanwhile, the reality is I'm naive at this point because I don't know anything about Broadway. She was making like $3,000 a week. She was just in between shows because she was getting ready to do the Olympics. So long story short, she comes to work for me. I went back to Chad and said, "Chad, I really like Janine. Would you mind if I asked her out?" He says, "How serious are you?" He goes, "Oh no, go ahead. We're just good friends." And so
you had this blessing.
we met in January, got married in May.
That was quick.
It was really quick. And then she went to do the
You weren't looking
Olympics.
for anybody. You were not.
I was not gonna, there was no way. But it just happened. You just knew.
Oh.
And then she went to do the Olympics. She co-choreographed the first Olympic dance corps. And then she came back, and I'm flying back and forth. I have a DeLorean, and I'm going, there's no speed limit between Vegas and LA, and it's a good thing. Because I was literally flying. If those doors would have opened up, I would have flown.
You would have flown out.
She comes home to open up in a chorus line. And I still understand my naivety. I'm still, in my 20s. I go to see her in a chorus line, and I'm sitting there, I'm going, "Who the hell is that? And what is she doing with me?" She was bigger than life.
Aww.
And was spectacular. There's throngs of people waiting for her autograph
I'm sure.
after the show. And I think that was one of the reasons she liked our relationship, is because I didn't.
You had no idea who she was.
I did it because it was Janine.
You offered her $4 an hour.
$4.50 an hour. And she does not let me live it down to this day.
Not. How fabulous, though. That was really cool. And so then after you got married and you both stayed there?
We were there. I kept the studio for a couple of years, and I sold the studio and first built a radio station. We had a 100,000 watt radio station, KVEG, big bands, ballads, and Broadway.
Okay.
And
I like
it was
that.
a barn.
Big bands, ballads, and Broadway. Who wouldn't like that?
And it was a barn bird. It went from Calgary, Canada to Baja, Mexico. So it was phenomenal. But I had no numbers again, because it's a brand new station. Yeah. So I went direct to all the hotels and did vignettes from the hotels.
Okay.
We did 15-minute vignettes, 30-minute vignettes. I did boxing by the book with Al Bernstein. I had Guy Harvey on the radio station. So we had a really good thing, but I had to go direct. So I established a lot of my own clients past their ad agencies, because nobody's going to buy a station that didn't have numbers. But we were the only station you could hear on the highway. The only one. So anybody that's driving into Vegas, and this is the 80s, everybody's driving into Vegas. It was a perfect outlet for the casinos, for the hotels,
yes.
because they could advertise their rooms and stuff.
On the way in, yeah.
So it worked out real well. And after a while, I sold the radio station, and then a lot of my clients said, would you please continue? Because I'd worked with them in other medias.
Yeah.
Having worked in TV before, and we opened an advertising agency, and the ad agency wound up being very successful. And
because you had a knack for promotion.
And that's it. We had and we did all of the production for the Olympics, for the pre-games, the wrestling, the gymnastics, the boxing. We did the boxing for Caesars, so we did a lot of production work. And then
a lot of good experience. So no wonder people wanted you to represent them and
it was a natural. And what's ironic is this weekend, one of the people that I worked with the most was Heidi Thompson, and that was Golden Sound Productions.
Okay.
And we did like 400 jingle packages together, where we would sell jingle packages to clients.
What's a jingle package? I mean,
a jingle package is, go, it's the real thing.
Okay, that's a jingle package.
And we did stuff like, opportunity doesn't knock, it beeps for Mr. Beeper.
Okay.
You know, they call him Beeper, Mr. Beeper. So
you can package those, and they're a thing to they're a commodity.
There's still a huge thing.
Okay.
Most radio stations will have a company come in and do jingle packages.
Okay.
Where they do
I didn't know this.
60-second with donuts and. Well, and TV stations should usually have jingle packages too. They have a soundbite or something that makes it recognizable.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so if you think of most,
that's a cool little business.
It's a great business, and it's great now in this day and age because people can use it for their computer, they can use it for their answer machine, for their Facebook, for their Instagram. They can add sound bites.
Yeah.
She is coming this weekend.
And that is a person you've known professionally for a number of years.
It's Janine's cousin.
And it is also, I knew there was a relationship. There's also Janine's
cousin. And she's coming this weekend because she was the star of Legends in Concert for Cher.
And so Janine's cousin is coming from
Las Vegas, along with her husband, who played Bill Medley and Elton John. And then they have another Sonny coming as well, who looks, sounds, and talks like Sonny. And we're doing this for one of our local clients. Because we mentioned the ad agency. I know your time is probably...
No, we're good. I'm getting the whole story here.
So I'll go back a little bit.
Okay.
We had the ad agency. We also owned a teen nightclub called The Wave. We had an 8,000 square foot teen nightclub, which was huge.
This is still out west.
This is in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And it was the same license as a gaming license for that.
Okay.
And then we had some other businesses, restaurants and stuff too. And then Janine had always wanted to open in a Broadway show. She'd always been first replacement, Chorus Line, 42nd Street, that kind of thing. And Tommy Tune was auditioning in Las Vegas. And a couple weeks before that, she had auditioned for Cats to be the replacement for McCafferty the cat for Cats. Yeah. And when the girl found out that it was Janine replacing her, she says, "Oh, no, I think I'll stay on."
See, because she knew.
They said, "Well, we can do the international tour. You can try." She goes, "I'm not traveling." She goes, "If you want to place me in LA, you want to place me in Vegas, you want to place me in New York, I have a 2-year-old. It's not going to work."
Yeah.
And that, ironically, Tommy Tune came in. I said, "Janine, Tommy Tune's over at such and such a place doing auditions, and there's 800 young ladies there auditioning at the time." And Janine didn't have a resume or anything because everybody in town knew her. She was the biggest fish there was.
Sure.
I mean, she was on billboards all over the place. I said, as long as she's not on milk carton, we're safe.
But she had relationships, and she had a track record.
She's doing voiceovers for me for the radio station because she can do different voices.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she was the voice of like 6 radio stations. She did different voiceovers. And then all the other ad agencies worked with her too because she was so eclectic.
Right.
So she didn't have a resume. So I said, just go, I'll do it. And we have an ad agency, so obviously we could put one together in short order. But she got the audition.
Wow.
Out of 800.
Out of 800.
And Tommy had gone all over the country looking for the 16 most beautiful women, because it was the Follies girls.
Yeah.
And the 6 single sisters.
Yes.
So it was a huge deal. And she said, well, how am I going to leave? I said, you're going to go. You're going to go to New York, and Theo will stay with me, and we'll be bi-coastal for a while.
Yep. You were a newlywed, though. That was kind of tough.
Yeah, it's only been a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so, but we had a lot of business interests.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You had a full life. And you probably got to see each other some too because you traveled.
we did. I was going back into New York. We were doing 3D animation and stuff at the ad agency, and we could do it a lot cheaper than they could in New York.
Okay.
We didn't have unions and
Sure.
different production departments and stuff, so it was a little bit lower overhead for us. We could produce it better. But it was tough.
Yeah.
Theo stayed with me for a few months. As a matter of fact, he would go into and do overnights with me. We used to rent Channel 8's boards at night, and I would do all our editing at night because it was $25 an hour. And it was like a tenth of the cost of if I was doing it in the daytime. And I didn't need an engineer. I was doing it myself. But I'd say, Theo, bring up number one. And he's like 2.5 years old. And he's in the editing room with me.
That's so cool, though.
So we went back and forth, and then when Theo finally moved after Janine went through pre-production, it killed me. I just couldn't do it. So we sold the businesses, and she said, what are you going to do? And I'd been a very successful competitive dancer. I said, maybe I'll go teach for a while, because after so many power breakfasts, power lunches, and power dinners, I became Power Theo. I was a little bit bigger.
Big Theo.
Big Theo. So I went to work for I went and interviewed at a bunch of schools in New York City to see which one I wanted to work at, and wound up working for the Fred Astaire on the East Side, which was at the time the #1 school in the country. And 2 weeks later, I was managing the West Side studio. The owner says, "You know more than our managers do."
With your experience, wow.
And Janine's deal with me was, don't own anything for 2 years. Just take 2 years.
Just be the employee so you can put it away when you go home.
Yes.
Because that's the difference. When you own it, you're sleeping it, you're eating it, you're talking about it over dinner.
And so for 2 years, they begged me to buy the studio. It came down $150,000 in price. And 2 years later, Janine's contract ended, the show closed, and she was saying, well, you know, I'm older than most of these girls. Am I going to get another job? Well, she had offers everywhere. In a very short, she said, I guess we can stay. I said, then I'm buying the studio.
As long as we're staying.
And it was the original Fred Astaire dance studio on Broadway.
That's cool. Now, did young Theo take up dance too?
Yeah, he danced when he was a kid.
He did?
First we put him into gymnastics. We had circus gymnastistics across the street, which were Russian gymnastics.
Oh, wow.
And they
Real
were
deal.
spectacular.
Wow.
And we put him in gymnastics, and then we got him into mixed martial arts because Theo's a little person. So he's a dwarf.
Okay.
So he's not of normal stature, and we wanted to make sure they had better balance, that he was
It's really
comfortable with
important,
them.
to have the flexibility and the balance.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then he was competing. I wouldn't let him compete with Janine. He competed with one of the teachers at the studio because I figured he'd have Janine around his little finger. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it right.
That's true.
So
Smart.
His first competition, he did phenomenal. But he did. So I'm not doing it. And his teacher says, "You better do it. Your parents have paid me a lot of money to teach you and to take you to this competition. You're going out there, so you get your little butt up here and let's go."
Right.
He danced fantastic, but then ran like a bat out of hell into his mother's arms. He's like 3.5 years old or something.
He's like, I'm done.
No, he went back out and did several more. But he was
gosh.
I can't believe I had to do that. But he's like smooth as silk.
Great experience for a kid, though.
Oh, it was.
To compete.
I have to tell you the story. We'll backtrack a little bit. We're filming the pre-games for the gymnastics. And I think we're at the Riviera, we're in the convention center. And Theo and Janine are sitting up front. I'm directing this big show that we're doing for the gymnastics. And right in front of them is the runway where they go to run and do the horse. And it was the female gymnastics. We're on a break, just getting ready to come back. Theo gets up and goes, I can do this.
Oh, no.
Ran right down the center of the floor to do the vault.
You're kidding. No. Oh, my gosh. People had to be laughing, though.
Oh, the crowd went absolutely ape. They thought it was hilarious. But that's our son. Our son is...
That's awesome. Now, he could have gone, he could have said, this whole dance thing, I'm not doing that. That's y'all. I'm not... Because a lot of kids want to do kind of the opposite. So the fact that he did a lot of that is really good.
Well, he liked the dancing. He liked the activity. And he was dancing with a really pretty young lady. And he liked
sure didn't hate that.
No, so even when he's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, he pretty much liked dancing with women. So he was okay with it all the way around.
I bet he was. That's good. You're working here, and we're going to touch on this again, but you're working here with, I'm going to say it now in case anybody wants to know, because we piqued their interest about this a minute ago. You've got Janine's cousin, her husband, and another person coming to do a Legends show at Katichi.
That's right.
And that's this weekend.
Yes.
And it's Saturday, I believe.
It is.
And that's March 30th.
Right. It's for the Coyle Hall Funeral Directors' first annual dinner gala.
And as your client, you are helping them kind of grow their business a little bit in different directions. And this benefit,
this benefit is for St. Jude Children's Hospital. When we took them on as a client, one of the things we do with our clients is we want to find out what's really dear to their heart, what makes them get up in the morning, what do they love to do. And both Chris and Dwayne love what St. Jude Children's Hospital does. There's never a child that's not treated. And that's really important to them. And which is ironic because they're working with young people for this and their funeral directors.
Right.
So they're really special guys. They really care about this, and they said, we want to do something, but we would really want to do something that's special. So we came up with this program to do a gala every year.
And how would you get tickets if you were interested in going to the Legends show at Katichi this Saturday?
The best way right now would be to call the funeral directors at 706-376-0050.
Okay.
And they can still get tickets to see the show.
Okay.
The dinner tickets are closed out.
Okay. But you can still see the show.
You can still see the show.
Okay.
So the show starts at 8 o'clock. So the doors will open for the general public that want to come and watch the show. Tickets are $50 each, and they can come in at 7:30.
What's interesting to me about this is these are people who perform in Las Vegas for a very top-notch show that I have seen. I don't know that I've seen these particular people.
They did this show this weekend at the convention center and sold out.
At the Las Vegas
Convention Center.
So y'all, this is coming to Hartwell. I cannot believe this. I'm so excited.
And all the money is going to St. Jude. And this is an actual partnership with St. Jude Charity. So this isn't something that they're saying, oh, we'll send the money. This is an actual partnership with St. Jude. It's registered with St. Jude, and it will be for each year from here on out.
Wow, that is just so impressive. I mean, bringing the talents that you have to Hartwell and serving not only the community, but you've got a lot of other clients nationally too. So I wanted to get that out there, and we're going to screenshot some of this stuff so you can see it too. But backing up a little bit, you're still in New York at this point, and you're running a dance studio that you're owning. Janine is working, and you're raising Theo. And then how do you get to Hartwell from there?
In New York, I still continued doing broadcast work, but it was for a Russian media group.
Okay.
I helped them purchase radio stations, TV stations, and newspapers because there's 6 million people that speak Russian in that area.
Okay.
So I kept at that. We did most of the marketing and public relations for Fred Astaire Dance Studios. Being in New York, we had a lot of accessibility to Regis and Kathy Lee at the time, and a lot of other shows. We did the Lincoln Center. Janine and I were the shill dancers for Tavern on the Green, Rainbow Room, Cipriani's.
I didn't even know what a shill dancer was. Now at least I know.
Yeah, it's cool. Somebody that gets everybody else up dancing to make it feel a little bit more comfortable. So we did that. And then the studio wound up being very, very successful. We were the #1 school in the country for the entire 13 years we owned the studio. And it is, again, still now the
I was going to say, if it's not #1, I knew it was up there.
It's still #1 school for teaching, and the school is spectacular. It's good friends of ours that own it. We help sponsor them into the country from Lithuania. We sponsored almost 100 people over the years, bringing other couples in. So we help them legally bring people into the country the way you're supposed to.
Because there is, contrary to what you hear on the news all the time, there are legal ways to bring people in that are super productive
And our deal was, if you're one of the top 3 in your country and you met the criteria and you were willing to work and learn our skills and our styles as well, we'd help you come into the country.
Sure.
So we did that. And so when Janine finished doing, she'd been doing Rockettes and she had done Best Little Whorehouse Goes Public. We took a trip. We were on the Fred Astaire's board for University of Dance, and I was speaking in Boca Raton area. And we had a few extra days. And throughout our career, with me competing professionally and her doing her shows, we never really took vacation time or had to travel. So we had a few extra days and said, let's go to the Keys and see what it's like. And we had a boat in New York Harbor, a sailboat. And she used to tell Theo, don't fall in, I don't have to go in after you, it's coffee-colored water. Adversely, when we go to the Keys, we rent this little Hobie cat, and I can't keep her on the boat. She says, I can't believe this water.
Because you can see so
there's 80-foot visibility. It's gorgeous, and the water's so warm and beautiful. And she asked me to rent the boat again before we left the following day. And we're on the plane, she said, wouldn't it be just wonderful to be in that area? She says, you know, we always had dream books. She said, we had our dream book. We wanted to live on an island, which we did. We wanted to have our own business, which we did, have our own home. But we weren't specific about the color of the water or the temperature.
Right. And so at this point, aren't you thinking, we've worked so hard, wouldn't it be nice to just, not that you're not going to work, but just to maybe relax in a warmer climate?
And that's what we did. I said, so let's sell everything. She goes, how can you do that? I said, I get offers all the time. And so we went back, I made a deal. I stayed for a few 6 months or so to make sure the transaction was smooth, so that the studio was stable and that it would continue. And we sold the other schools off, and we packed it up and moved to the Florida Keys.
Wow.
And everybody said, what are you going to do? I said, don't know, we're going to be in a business of some sort.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, we decided there was no dance studios within 100 miles. So we would teach ballroom and Latin dancing, just little, mom and pop school.
Yeah. And then from the Keys, Janine told us when she was here, but you were looking for a place that would be kind of a halfway point. And
well, we had been home to Rochester for a family reunion and during the summertime, and there's no better time in Rochester. It's gorgeous out, it's green, it's lush, and it's just perfect. And it's right by the lake. So, we were at the lake and we thought, wouldn't it be great to be back here? Why don't we look at some property? Started looking at property, and I said, I'm going to have 2 months a year to be up here. That doesn't make sense.
right.
I said, we got to find a place that's in between. In 15 years in the tropics, the Keys are gorgeous. We love it. We have so many good friends, lots of good clients, both for the ad agency and for the dance studio. But after so many hurricanes, after so much heat for so long, and being on a little island, and our house was on the canal, so everybody that went by our house looked in the house and went like this to say, and we can't blame, we're doing the same thing if we go down a canal. So I was looking for a little bit of privacy, so I said, let's find a little bit of space. So Janine searched out Hartwell, and thank God she did. She found exactly what we were looking for.
And since you've come here, okay, Theo is now grown and he's on his own. He visits, right?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, we're gonna have to get him here.
Theo runs the largest pawn shop in Southern Florida.
Okay, so he's busy too.
It's an 8,000 square foot pawn shop in Key West.
Okay.
And he doesn't have employees.
Well, he inherited your drive.
Oh yeah.
And
unfortunately, I've tried to temper it.
Yeah.
So he runs one of the largest pawn shops. Okay. It's a very, very successful pawn shop. It has the largest music selection in the Florida. It has a huge, as a matter of fact, like 38 Special, Leonard Skinner. They come in and they jam in the place. And he's got the largest jewelry selection.
Okay.
And he can cash a $100,000 check for somebody who's going to buy another business.
Sure.
But besides that, he sings at a couple of nightclubs. He's the head blacksmith at Fort Zachary Taylor on the weekends, so he teaches blacksmithing.
That's cool.
Historical too.
Yeah.
Like 1800s
Historically
period.
accurate, you mean?
and he's in the whole garb, the whole 9 yards. And then
So it's kind of acting in a way. That's performance art.
Yeah, but he's a phenomenal artist, and he takes after his mother that way. Just phenomenal
So he inherited
artist.
your drive and her artistic ability.
And he speaks prolifically, and he's just a great kid, but he's a little bit overworked.
Yeah,
I told
it sounds
him,
like it.
if you own your own business, you only have to work half a day. You have to decide which 12 hours. If you want to be successful, you'll put an extra 4. So, and that's him.
Bless him. Gosh. But since you've been here, it's not like you've been resting on your laurels. You guys have done an amazing job getting into the community and making friends. You are still doing promotions, and you've got Coyle Hall as one of your clients, and Southern Heart, you were working with them as well.
We've been doing a lot of consulting with them from the onset with Scott Barfield and Suzanne, and they've done such a fantastic job with putting in a brew pub in an area where there wasn't even liquor allowed a couple of years ago.
I know.
And now they're thriving down there, doing a wonderful job, and they're constantly redeveloping their menus and doing a great job there.
Offering good food too.
And we're working with Greg Gaines, who teaches over at the high school, media and graphics and stuff. And he's been doing a bunch of our websites for our clients. He's great resource.
Multi-talented.
So if you're looking for a website, call Greg. He's
great about it.
Multi-talented. We write the stuff and do all the content, but he puts it together.
He's so smart.
Really good job.
Very smart. But you've also continued your dance. Aren't you affiliated in some way with?
Yeah. Well,
tell me about that.
Current World Pro-Am champion. I have a student that lives in Michigan, and we.
But you yourself are the current champion.
Pro-Am champion. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Well, it is because I'm like,
and just like keep going, and I have to stop you and say, wait.
Well, you know, to me, it's I'm like an old dog, and I'm just lucky that they're still letting me dance.
I know, but you have to be in amazing shape to compete. It's very physical.
Oh, it is. It's very physical, but it's. I love doing it. It's still my passion.
Yeah.
I love doing it. And Janine is our coach because all of the other coaches are usually people that we've worked with or that have worked for us and stuff. And they're too kind to me, where Janine
she'll tell you.
Has no problem saying, what are you doing?
Like, you need to work on. Give me an example of the criticism.
Well, she'd say, your left foot's all toed in. I said, no, it's not. She goes, here's a video. Look at this. Okay, you're not keeping your posture up. You need to stay strong. Yeah. Where's your expression? You're letting your head drip. Way you're up and to the left. I'm like, oh my God.
That's true though, that's good.
But she said, if you at this age are gonna be out on the floor with those 20 and 30-year-old male teachers, you're going to look good.
Yeah, you're right. She's looking out for you, man.
Oh, she really is. Because she doesn't want me to be like one of those old fools on the floor.
And you're still doing competition judging? Aren't you still on the...
Yeah, we just judged the South American Open a couple months ago in Argentina.
Okay.
And we went to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and we were the U.S. judges.
Okay.
And there was judges from all over the world. It was a spectacular competition.
That would be fun.
During the hurricane, I went to North Carolina, to the Charlotte, and judged the Charlotte Open.
Oh, wow.
So we still judge competitions quite a bit. I just danced. The last competition was just a month or so, 2 months ago, and that was in Tampa, and my student won top student. Oh no, actually we were in, we went to Texas, to Dallas, and she won the Dallas Open.
Oh wow, that makes you proud.
It really is, because
she has a trophy room, not a shelf, a room.
This room is, there's hundreds.
Wow.
There's hundreds of trophies.
Amazing. But now you're doing things here too with Hot Shots, aren't you?
Yeah, we're teaching out of Hot Shots Dance Studio, Suzanne Krause, and Hot Shots. Let me tell you, we would never align our name with any other studio or associate with any other studio ever in the past, or ballet or tap jazz school until now.
Really?
We have so much respect for them and the way that they teach. They specialize in private lessons, so those kids really learn how to dance. Suzanne is not in it for the money, which drives us nuts when you're just having, herding cattle in there, so you can get the $10 a kid for class. That's not what they're doing. They're teaching these kids how to dance. They go to competitions frequently. They just came from a competition this weekend, and one of the young ladies that I'm dancing with, She's doing American Smooth Open with me. One top student at this competition. So I'm so really proud of her. That's Cameron.
Now, are they teaching? And Cameron, what was the student?
It's Cameron is the who did real well, and then Addison, who is Suzanne's daughter. I may get in trouble from my other juniors because I've had a couple of U.S. junior and world junior champions. Suzanne's daughter, Addison, is the best 12-year-old I've ever had the pleasure to dance with.
Really?
She could be spectacular. She's got that, she's just got it. She's got a little bit of sass and she's got flair. I love dance with her.
Great.
And
Do you
even
teach
Suzanne started. No, I teach mostly adults.
Oh, you do? Out of Hot Shots?
Oh yeah, we teach adults. We have a lot of students, and I'm sure some like the Lees. Dr. Lee is the dentist, and they're taking lessons.
Oh, good.
We have a lot of adults taking lessons. I got one couple that's like the Brady Bunch. They have kids from both sides, and they're getting married next September. Not this September, next September. But they're preparing now. They have a theater arts tango that they're doing. And they're having the time of their lives. They come in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning for their lessons and bring all the kids. And the kids all watch them dance. That
is so cool. So you're really reaching a lot of people here through both the promotions company and through the Hot Shots dancing.
And because a few of our clients, like we also have Satchmel's Barbecue, Cedric. He's getting ready to go into all of the public stores with his special sauce.
How great. Good for him.
And then...
but you're also involved in the Rotary?
Yes, we're Rotarians. We've been Rotarians for a long time. Like I said earlier, I had a Rotary scholarship for college. And we've had the pleasure of being in Rotary since New York City.
Oh, that's great.
We've been able to do a lot of things. And we've been in every position there is for Rotary. And this year I'm the head onion for the Vidalia Onion Drive.
So if you need onions.
So yeah, if you need onions, please. We need to sell onions. What's their biggest fundraiser for the year?
Everybody loves Vidalia onions.
Well, if Janine had her way, we'd buy all of them because she loves them.
I do.
And then we're in the chamber. Janine's a chamber ambassador.
Fantastic.
So we do chamber work. We try and stay involved. We don't think that if you're not involved with your community, you can't expect your community to be involved with you.
Right. I love that y'all have moved here and made it your home, and you've just taken advantage of so many great things around the area and lent us your talents.
Well, you know what surprises me is people join organizations and never attend. I don't understand that. Why not participate? Don't not just join. And in every area it's the same 20 people that seem to do all the work.
It's true.
And like this weekend, we did the planting out for the sign that goes out towards Alberton. We replanted the sign for Hartwell. And it's the same group of people.
It's the same people you see, it's true.
From place to place. And if I could encourage people to get out and do something. Rotary is a great organization because it's non-denominational. It helps anybody who needs help.
Yes,
and it's one of the only organizations that has a seat on the United Nations.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're sitting at home watching and you think, maybe I'll go join Rotary, how does one go about joining Rotary?
Come to Katichi at 12:15. The meeting starts at 12:30 on Thursdays, and you'll
Any Thursday,
and you'll be a guest of the club.
Okay. Nice.
And you can find out more about it. And I encourage you to go to rotaryinternational.org. Right now, Rotary was responsible for eradicating polio.
Yeah, that's big.
Raised
oh my gosh,
billions of dollars to get rid of polio. But it does so many other things.
Yeah.
It supersedes the government because there's Rotary clubs everywhere you go. So if there's something that happens, Rotary can bypass the government, so none of the product that we're sending over gets put into the government. It actually goes to the people who need the work.
What a great network.
I know that when we were in New York, we airlifted 36 kids out of Sierra Leone, where they had been
and they're
butchered, literally butchered, arms cut off, legs cut off to get them to vote a certain way, the parents to vote a certain way. And we brought them in, Rotary did, got them prosthetics, green cards, and educations.
Wow,
So,
fantastic.
Rotary does so many things, and they don't tote their own horn a lot because that's not what it's about. It's service above self.
That's right. I love it. Well, good. Well, that's awesome. Well, this hour's flown by. So, and we want to say again, go to Katichi this weekend to see the show, and call or go by Coyle Hall and grab a
For
ticket.
$50, it's the best show you're going to see anywhere.
And you save the airfare and the crowds of Las Vegas and getting in the cabs,
And
just
I
get to see the
promise
same
you
show.
that Janine's cousin Heidi, if you're sitting anywhere near the front, is going to pick on you, and you're going to have the time of your life, and it's something you'll remember forever.
Oh, that's awesome. That is great.
But call and reserve your seats because it's limited.
Yes, it's true.
The,
I'm
the
sure
room
they
is
only
only so big.
That's right. They have a fire code issue, and
Right.
they have so many tickets, and that's it. Well, Theo, thank you so much for being here today. This has been so much fun learning about you
thank
and your
you.
life.
Well, it's a little thumbprint of what we've been doing, but we're so glad to be in Hartwell, and thank everybody for welcoming us.
Well, we're lucky that you're here, so thank you. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll catch up with you next week.